Electricity, chemicals, the telegraph, steel, and steamships fueled the success in the Industrial Revolution by providing safety, profit, and efficiency.
Electricity, first examined thoroughly by Benjamin Franklin in the 18th century, proved to be a very important invention in the Industrial Revolution. Electricity fueled electric lights, which were much brighter than oil lamps. It also powered telegraphs, which increased the speed and decreased the cost of communication. Finally, electricity powered electric motors, which were used in factories and streetcars or subways. The electric motor replaced power belts and steam engines, making factory work safer and less costly. Streetcars reduced the amount of horses on streets, and subways reduced traffic.
In the early 19th century, soda, sulfuric acid, and chlorine bleach were made on a large scale, mostly by Britain. In 1856, Englishman William Perkin created the first synthetic dye, aniline purple, from coal tar. Toward the end of the century, Germans made many synthetic dyes that were cheap and made customers happy. One of the most important chemicals made in the 19th century was nitroglycerin. Nitroglycerin was used by Alfred Nobel to create dynamite, which was very useful for mining and construction. Dynamite was a safer and faster way to clear land for mines and construction. New chemicals improved the economies in many countries, especially Germany, which led the world in producing dyes, drugs, fertilizers, and nitrates during the Mao decade. Steel was used to build railroads and steam engines that pumped mines and created energy to run factories. Railroads provided cheap and efficient transport. Trains made from steel helped transport goods, which improved the American economy. Steel was produced efficiently by William Kelly's method, which was forcing air through molten pig iron, which turned iron into steel with no additional cost. In 1856, Henry Bessemer improved Kelly's method and made producing steel at 1/10 the cost of earlier methods.
The telegraph was the first electric form of communication. In 1800, Alessandro Volta invented the battery. This product led the way to more efficient inventions, such as the telegraph. The cable device was first used in railroad stations to determine departure and arrival times of trains. This safe practice created a decrease in steam engine crashes. The telegraph was then exposed beyond the railroad tracks to other parts of England and the United States. In 1837, Samuel Morse created a form of communication known as Morse code. The language of dots and dashes helped give regular people the capability of talking to people across the country. Another innovation in 1837 was the five-cable system. The English technicians Charles Wheatstone and William Cooke were the ones to claim the patent. Their telegraph made it possible for 5 different sources to send messages to a single receiving destination. This system was used until the early 20th century. A telegraph line was made from Baltimore to Washington in 1843. This sprung a series of cable lines connecting Eastern and Western America during the 1840s. In 1851, the English Channel was connected by the first submarine telegraph. This underwater wire advanced the communication between England and France.
The introduction to steamships opened up trade and exploration in both Europe and the Americas because of its power to move a ship an astonishing 5 miles per hour without having to rely on the rivers and ocean's wind currents. Before the idea of steam-powered boats, keelboats were used to transport cargo to places using the rivers. People found that the idea of using these rivers for trade was good, but they hated the fact that they relied on the river's currents to take them to their destinations. People began to think of new ways to produce an engine that would further produce a better way of transportation down rivers and in the ocean. In 1769, Scotsman James Watt invented an engine that ran by steam. This engine would be powered by coal to make steam and allowed transportation by water to not have to rely on things like currents and wind.